never know the worth of water till the well is dry," wrote Thomas Fuller in 1732. But attuned to the cycles of life in the desert, with its long, harsh summers softened only by unpredictable monsoon rains, its often dry landscapes with their hidden springs and seeps, the people of Arizona have had to learn the worth of water, not only to us, but to the wildlife that share our home. In 1990, Arizona voters overwhelmingly passed the Heritage Initiative, setting aside up to $20 million in Arizona lottery revenues each year. Arizona Game and Fish Department splits the resulting pot of money with Arizona State Parks. Game and Fish spends these lottery dollars to recover threatened and endangered species, to help urban residents appreciate and coexist with our unique wildlife, to educate children about the environment, and to create new opportunities for outdoor recreation. Some of this money, just over $17 million so far, has gone to purchase lands vital to the continued health of Arizona wildlife. Today, we will be visiting the first of these heritage properties, purchased in 1993, and the most recent acquisition, bought in December 2004. Together, Weima Wildlife Area and the Coal Mine Canyon property tell the story of how the Heritage Program puts lottery dollars to work on behalf of the people and the wildlife of Arizona.
When I came to the department, I was really excited about being able to get on the ground floor of the Heritage Program into land acquisition program, because in my opinion, restoring habitat, preserving habitat for future generations is really the thing that the legacy of the department one of the legacies the department can provide. And I really enjoyed working on this project because, this is something now that'll be held into the future.
The Weima Wildlife Area was the first to be purchased by the Arizona Game and Fish Department using lottery dollars through the Heritage Program. Bought from a private landowner, the property is home to many different kinds of animals, including a herd of deer that are sometimes seen frolicking in the morning sun. The Little Colorado River, which runs through the Weima property, gave the Arizona Game and Fish Department two good reasons to purchase the property. First, the river provides valuable riparian habitat, a ribbon of flowing waters and lush greenery through the otherwise dry landscape of the western White Mountains. And the river is home to the Little Colorado spine dace, a fish that is listed as a threatened species under the Federal Endangered Species Act.
For each one of these, and for all the threatened and endangered species, there's a recovery plan. And one of the recovery objectives for the Little Colorado spine dace was to acquire and set aside some key stream and river habitat for this species, because the habitat for this species has shrunk considerably due to changes in channels and stream flow and that type of thing.
The ultimate goal in providing protected habitat for the Little Colorado spine dace is to allow the species to recover sufficiently to remove it from the threatened and endangered species list. But, like other heritage properties, Weima is home to many different types of wildlife.
In addition to the spine dace and other native fish that are in the stream, you've got, this has become a very highly popular birding area. In addition to that, there was a mule deer herd down here that was fairly low in numbers, and consequently, with the habitat improvement, their numbers have gone. We've got a real healthy mule deer herd down here.
The Weima Wildlife Area is not just valuable for its wildlife, people enjoy it too.
We're conserving the resources here, but still enabling the public to enjoy those resources without being all blocked up. And also we've done some proactive things in terms of creating trails, interpretive signing and that type of thing that provide an education for the folks, and then gives them some rationale of why the area is protected. And I think that really helped when they know what are the reasons that this was set aside or was purchased, if they know that it is from a wildlife standpoint, from a habitat standpoint, and I think then they really support it a lot stronger that way.
In the 12 years that have passed since the Weima property was purchased, some dramatic changes have been seen, especially in the quality of river habitat for fish and songbirds.
And then beavers also moved in, and they started creating dams, and they've created a lot of backwaters and ponds That helped raise the water table, and consequently the vegetation became more and more vigorous, and it's really become now a lush riparian for the most part along the channel. As fast as Arizona is growing, a number of areas throughout the state, we're losing a lot of habitats, and really particularly key habitats such as riparian. They're very popular with, certainly recreationists, developers, and that type of thing. And this was an opportunity to really kind of preserve a piece of Arizona that really could provide a lot of unique benefits for the future and for the kids in the future.
As it was for Weima, water was the reason for protecting the Coal Mine Canyon property as well. Purchased in December of 2004, Coal Mine Canyon is the most recent area to be protected by the Arizona Game and Fish Department using Heritage lottery dollars.
If you hike into Coal Mine Canyon, you'll see big rocky boulders and cliffs and stands of green ocotillo and agaves. It's a beautiful desert grassland with lots of rocky outcrops. And then, of course, there's this really rich riparian area with lots of ash and a few cottonwoods and willows and the water that bubbles through it throughout it. It's really a beautiful place. There is this riparian corridor that goes through it, and so this area is really important to a lot of species, even species that we think of as upland species like mourning dove or Gambel's quail or mule deer. They all like to come down to that lush vegetation that's in the riparian areas, and when the area is really dry in the hot summer, it's really important that those riparian areas be protected.
The Coal Mine Canyon property is adjacent to the Sonoyta Creek State Natural Area and north of Patagonia Lake State Park. But its location in southern Arizona is not the primary reason why it was selected for purchase.
The primary species that we're trying to protect is the Gila top minnow. There's a natural population of Gila top minnow that exists at this site at Coal Mine Spring, and that was the main thing we were trying to protect. But in addition, there are another 6 listed species and another 16 sensitive species that'll be given some extra protection by acquiring this property. It's a beautiful riparian area, and that the values there for wildlife are very great.
This small fish, the Gila top minnow, used to fill southern Arizona streams with darting silver flashes of light. Eaters of mosquitoes and mosquito larvae, these useful fish have been losing their natural habitat for decades. Until now, only 14 populations are left. Of these 14 populations, the one at Coal Mine Spring is the only population of Gila top minnow that has no competition from exotic fish, making this area especially important for the recovery of this fish species. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service listed the Gila top minnow as endangered on the Federal Endangered Species List in 1967.
One of the functions of the Game and Fish Department is to work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to try to take an endangered species back to a point where it's no longer endangered and we can see it delisted.
To implement the recovery plan through purchase of the Coal Mine Canyon property, the Arizona Game and Fish Department formed a unique public-private partnership with Arizona State Parks, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Trust for Public Lands, and a willing seller who sold the property at a reduced price in order to see its wildlife values conserved for the future. The acquisition was completed in December of 2004. This newest heritage property was acquired for public use just in time.
If, in fact, this property had not been purchased, it would have been developed into residential lots. That is what's happening to the balance of the property that is not being purchased.
The Coal Mine Canyon property is going to be managed by Arizona State Parks as part of the Sonoyta Creek State Natural Area.
The public does have access to this area. They have foot access through the Sonoyta Creek State Natural Area. I've talked to people who have hiked up there, and they have talked about what a beautiful place it is and what a wonderful acquisition it is.
Since the Heritage Fund was approved by voters in 1990, the people and wildlife of Arizona have seen the benefits of many Heritage-funded projects. Heritage monies have supported the reintroduction or recovery of several species on the Federal Threatened and Endangered Species List, including the California condor, black-footed ferrets, and Apache trout. Heritage community and research grants have paid for projects in every county in Arizona, and Heritage lottery dollars have allowed the Arizona Game and Fish Department to purchase 11 areas so far, lands and waters that are valuable for protection of the state's wildlife. These heritage properties total more than 14,000 acres in all, from Weima Wildlife Area to Coal Mine Canyon, and at 9 areas in between. The voter-approved heritage program is hard at work, providing opportunities for recreation and leisure, as well as key habitat for animals, fish, and birds.